totally a bad idea. And like Matt alluded to, you know, you got people sitting out now like Sasha Banks who, you know, isn't happy with the way things are going. You've got, you know, Dean Ambrose, he's left. You know, there's a lot of talk. Is it a work? Is it not a work? We've seen now Promo. You know, he's gone back to his old name, hasn't he, Moxley? So, you know, it certainly doesn't look like a work to me now. And with that video going out, I can imagine WWE thinking, crap, you know, this is not good for us now, because all of a sudden, how many guys on that roster, Matt, would have seen that promo and thought, hang on a minute, I wouldn't mind having a go at that as well. I've got some ideas I'd like to do and get myself out. Because in today's world, Matt, I mean, social media and everything else, I'm sure Dean Ambrose isn't the most sort of up guy. He never really has been thorough with social media. But, I mean, it doesn't take a genius now, Matt, to sort of get yourself out there, especially after you've been in WWE at whatever level you're at, to get something like that sorted out. I mean, you know, it might have looked, I know it looks super professionally done, but I guarantee you he didn't spend millions on it. So, you know, that's people are going to be looking at that now and thinking, I would like a crack at that as well. Do you think it's sort of, he might have opened the floodgates a little bit more, Matt, to more people stepping in that direction and sort of maybe sitting on contracts to get out of it in any which way they can?
Yeah, well, I hope he has, because you know, every revolution's got to start with one man, and you know, if Dean's going to be that guy, then credit to him. If he feels like he's got something to offer another company, which he definitely has. I mean, he wasn't being utilised to his best in the WWE. I'd love to see him, you know, craft in AEW or something like that. I think that'd be great. And you know, when everyone's looking for an alternative, AEW seems to get more and more appealing each week that goes by, and this is what baffles me. Like, WWE know they must be on their game. They know they have something. They don't know whether it's going to be a success, whether it won't be a success. They don't know. It's a fear of the unknown right now. But even that is not enough to make them up their game.
Yeah, they're in trouble, and I mean it as well. I mean, they are in trouble. This is not improved. This is not just a couple of weeks. This is years. They have not done well, and I think, you know, I do think that their unwillingness to change, because it's so convenient the way they run things at the moment. And it's, you know, it's great for TV, and they're getting great deals because Fox are coming in. They you know, they're going to have SmackDown. The money's there. There's no doubt about it. They're financially, they're doing well. There's no doubt about it. And even with the network numbers are nowhere near where they should be, they're still doing well. It's a very, you know, it's a booming, thriving company. There's no doubt about it. Especially with this Saudi Arabia money coming in. I mean, it's just incredibly ridiculous. I mean, it makes more money than WrestleMania, and think how long WrestleMania has taken to build. You know, we're 35, and all of a sudden last year, Matt, something blows it out of the water. You know, just doing one show or two shows a year. It's just craziness, isn't it? But so it's kind of one of those things where you think like, well, yes, financially we're doing well, but we're not tailoring our stuff anymore for the audience. We're not really giving the audience what they want, although they claim they do. I somehow doubt that, and I know every time the McMahons come out and they do that same old stick, well, we're going to change things, shake things up, blah, blah, blah. To me, the more times they do that now, Matt, the less impact it's having with me every time I hear it. Like, if I saw Vince McMahon come out, it used to be a big deal to me. I'd be like, yes, I'm totally in tune. Now, it's kind of getting to the point where, like, how many more times is there stuff going to happen? You know, we saw the McMahons come out earlier in the year. They used it kind of a storyline stuff with Baron Corbin. It was his fault, that crap. And then, you know, just recently, Vince McMahon's out, he's saying about this wild card thing. I mean, it's just so convenient. All of a sudden, well, it doesn't. They can have a few on each show. That way we can try and get our best guys over. I mean, it just seems desperate. That's what it seems like. It's coming across real desperate. And they still don't have the answers. I mean, that is not going to cure. We had Roman on Raw for years, and trust me, that is not enough. I mean, it's not to do with the talent. This is what I'm saying. It's not the talent's fault. It's the way it's produced. It's almost like everything's too perfect as well as a show. I recently have been going back to about 97, 98 era. And when I watch those Raws, Matt, I mean, every Raw set looks a little bit different and clunky in areas because, you know, back then they used to set up and it was probably quite a challenge with what they had. So sometimes you'd have the big screen in, sometimes you wouldn't. But as well as that, it's like when I watch guys come down the aisle, just small things like this, but like I see Sid coming down or I see Brett coming down, you know, they didn't do the same walkout every week. Like now it looks like a video game. It's like if Triple H comes out, he almost has to do the same things before he gets into the ring. There's no even little... Even the camera angles are so shot the same every week. They won't even change that now. You won't get a wide shot when Triple H is sort of walking down it, and they'll always do the camera that goes around him as he stops before the ramp. And not just him, every single guy that comes down now, it plays out like a computer game. It's so generic. It's so sort of style that it's like, well, yeah, we're seeing them come down. We're familiar with it. We know the music. And it's the same old sort of entrance every time. But back then, Matt, I mean, Stone Cold Steve Austin, he would come out, he might, you know, salute a few fans, might, you know, tag a few of them, go a different way around the apron even, just be a little bit more spontaneous. And I know it's something small and minute, but to me, everything is so TV perfect that they've almost forgot about just the sort of fun element of professional wrestling and giving the guys a little bit of freedom to kind of maybe come up with something different, you know, try something different tonight, or, you know, start off a little bit different, don't say the same things, say it a little bit differently, blah blah blah. I don't know why that's happened, but I just think it's got too TV driven. And they just want everything so perfect now. And like I say, to the point where even the camera angles, they're never changed every week for the entrances. They are always the same angles every week. It's almost pointless doing an entrance because, you know, there's nothing going to be... You know, might as well just play a computer game until they get in the ring. But I think that's the other part of it as well, is that, you know, and we were talking about Progress Wrestling earlier, Matt. Now, you know... there's not a whole lot of emphasis put on the entrances, same as Ring of Honor. It's all about the bell to bell, and I do think that they need to concentrate more about what goes into the ring, the action that goes on there, than they do all this other stuff. Like, I really feel like that's the fundamental point of professional wrestling. I don't want to call themselves entertainment, and they're more than wrestling, and they don't like being called wrestlers, and they're superstars as they call themselves. But at the end of the day, what put people in those seats, and still does to a huge degree, is the wrestling. So they really need to make that the main focus, in my opinion, and start having matches that mean something. I mean, last week, Matt, we had matches that I thought, oh, they sound good. And then they were DQ'd in them. So I thought, that's a complete, you know... So I'm sucked into it. And then it's like, well, that's not going to make me want to watch it again next week if they're going to keep doing that. So, Matt, is there anything else you can add? I mean, is there anything that do you think it will improve? Or is there anything on the horizon, you know, going further into this?
So I'll tell you what, if we could fix this problem, we deserve a job there. But I think that's the problem, isn't it? I don't think anybody knows how to fix it. I think there are people paid some mega bucks to figure this out, and they still can't do it. They can't fix it. You know, I feel like as a fan, you know, you look forward to what you look forward to now, don't you? I mean, the Money in the Bank's coming up. Yeah, I'm definitely going to be tuned into that. I'm kind of holding out some high expectations for it. I mean, I know they have to try something. They have to do something different. So hopefully we're going to see maybe someone different holding the briefcase. I mean, that's one of the things that's drawing me in right now. So hopefully they do something along those lines. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to see. Speaking of things coming up, moving on now, Matt. Speaking of things coming up next month, in fact, which is going to basically take place very, very soon. It'll be in... trying to get the official date here. When is it? Super Showdown. Yeah, so June the 7th. We're back, Matt, in Saudi Arabia, and a match that's been booked. There's a couple of matches been booked now, actually, official, Matt. Don't know if you know them, but we got, of course, Goldberg versus the Undertaker. That's happening. But a 50-man battle royal, Matt, that's happening again. We've got one of those. It's not the greatest Royal Rumble. It's a 50-man battle royal instead. So, and we know the Prince is a massive fan of those multi-man matches. Can't be good enough at 30. It's got to be 50. So that's pretty much guaranteed everybody a decent payday if you're Mal, that is. And then also, Matt just announced Triple H is in action against Randy Orton. Another match between those two. Wow. Yeah, apparently he's a fan of seeing them as well. We also know, Matt, that Brock Lesnar is booked as well. So he's not, everyone expected he's off. He's not going to stick around. Of course he's going to stick around. He's apparently signed a big deal with them as well, because as long as his Saudi trip happens, and we know the Prince is a huge fan of Brock, I don't think Brock's going to, I think he can manage a couple of matches a year, can't he, Matt? For that sort of payday.
I'm sure he'll take up the hard work that he will be.
So, we don't know who he'll be facing, but we do know those matches. Matt, did we ever think we'd be talking about Bill Goldberg again? Not only is he coming back, we knew that. Then he's up against The Undertaker. What do you think about that as a match, Matt?
Oh, my God. I can't be too harsh about Goldberg. I learned my lesson last time. This guy's got a lot of fans, a lot of followers. Okay. So the guy is good and was a massive, massive star in the 90s. But if I go a little bit off topic now and talk about where we are in other sports, like if you say football, for instance, like you've got young up and coming teams now, like Tottenham, and they're gonna, play Liverpool, say, for
Champions
instance.
League final, everybody. Oh yeah.
Yeah. Champions League final, massive, biggest thing in football. It's important for people. People want to see this. It's big time. But do they want to see the team from the 90s play the team from the 90s? No, they don't. Come on. There is a market for that, but it's considerably smaller. Why is it so big in wrestling to get the two oldest kind of guys, the big names from the 90s, to fight each other? It just blows my mind how they actually... It does actually work sometimes, doesn't it? People actually want to see these.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I was going to play devil's advocate because, when I saw that match, I'd heard rumours it was going to happen, but until it's announced, you're kind of always like, maybe it won't. It did. But then I got thinking about it, and I thought, WrestleMania this past year, I know the one thing, I listened to our review recently and I went back on it, and we were kind of saying it was missing star power. I will say one thing, I'll play devil's advocate. This match, is it more sort of like bigger than anything we saw at WrestleMania in terms of name power? That's how I know it's ridiculous, but it's kind of, I think it's a shocking revelation on where WWE is today, that we still are going to these guys, because I'm pretty sure, Matt, if they were on WrestleMania, that would be like the biggest talking box office draw. Like, it wouldn't be Triple H and Batista, it would be these two, 100%. I know that they thought their match was gonna be at that level, and that was kind of like the sort of, the big fourth main event. They always like to have those kind of matches, but to me that was, what Triple H always calls everyone, a B+ player. That was a B+ main event, in my opinion. But I'm not talking about the match quality, because we even knew that Batista and Triple H was going to be a bit of a nightmare, and it ended up being a bit of a nightmare as well. But that aside, Goldberg versus The Undertaker, I've got to say, to me, it is bigger than anything we saw at WrestleMania, quite frankly. We didn't have John Cena this year. And, Brock, he was there against Seth. I thought it was going to be miles better than it was, but that ended up just being 2 minutes. And, the only thing I can compare that it did go up against was probably the women's match. But In terms of like a big match, this feels like it was bigger than anything we saw at WrestleMania. And I know it sounds ridiculous, and we're not going to get the whole hype and promo that a WrestleMania match between these two would have. But yeah, I mean, just to throw it out there, Matt, I just play a bit of devil's advocate here. It's kind of fascinating that, you know, I know that we kind of, me personally, I don't particularly want to see this